Okay, so we are up to Mishlei 1425. Okay, and if this looks familiar, it's because it mostly is from earlier this year. Okay. Matzil nefashos eid emes viafiach kezavim mirma. Not the easiest pasuk to translate, because of weird syntax, but yeah.
One who saves nefashot.
Yeah. Souls, yeah.
Is a trustworthy witness.
So you could say trustworthy, but because we have a different word for trustworthy of like ne'eman,
Yeah.
then I feel like just translating this literally instead of like interpreting it would be better.
Okay. Of truth.
A true witness.
Yeah.
Right. Or a witness of truth, I guess. Or witness of truth. Yafiach kazavim. So we have yafiach could either literally means to breathe or to blow, breathe out or utter.
So one who say breathes out lies, falsehoods.
Yeah. No, I think you read the first time. Lies.
Okay. Check. Yeah, okay. Is trickery? Is it trickery?
Yeah, so let's just say deceit, right? And leave open the space there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think deceit is the literal meaning. I'm just going to check in the BDB. I think trickery is like a subcategory within that. Let's see. Deceit or treachery. Yeah. Okay. So just while we're here, the pasuk that this is similar to is 14:5. Eid emunim lo yichazev v'yafiach kazavim eid shaker. Right. Right. So I don't know what we said about that, but we won't worry about that. I just wanted to bring it up. Okay. So there's no Mitzvah Tzion. Sadion says Ha'ed ha'amiti mati asanafashos. The true witness saves the souls. The hadover shkarim, but one who speaks falsehoods, who bal mirmos, is a master of deceits. Okay, so one thing which I think this is going to be very common is he reverses the subject and predicate. So instead of saying one who saves souls is a true witness, he says the true witness is the one who saves souls. Okay. Targum says mafte nafsha sahada dekushta udemalil kadvusa ramayahu. So the only thing he does is he just says yafiach means to speak. Mamalel. So I'm going to delete this. All right. Art Scroll says a true witness saves lives, but a spouter of deceptions, and then they put in brackets, saves only a man of deceits. Okay, so that's a big positing there. Okay, there was no refer, so I did the Septuagint says a faithful witness shall deliver a soul from evil. So they also flip it. Also Art Scroll flips it. But a deceitful man kindles falsehoods. Okay, so I think they're learning yafiach as like to stoke, right? Like a like being mafiach like an oven or something like that. And then Aldridge says a true witness saves lives, a lying deposer fosters deceit. Okay, and then he says in his footnote, fosters deceit. The verb, there is none in the Hebrew, is added for clarification. So that is a big problem here as well, is that there's no verb connecting yafiach kazavim to mirma. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay, so what are the questions here?
What does matzil nefashos mean?
Yeah. What does matzil nefashos mean? Okay.
What's the correlation between that and being a true witness?
Yeah.
What is being a true witness?
What is being asserted about, actually, I'll put the what is a true witness. What is an aid MS? Okay, what is being asserted about the, like, what is the relationship? Well, actually, I'll say what relationship is being asserted between matzil nefashos and aid MS. And I'm just going to explicitly say this, write this, is that which is the subject and which is the predicate. Okay. is it a saver of souls is a true witness, or a true witness saves souls? Yeah.
I would also ask within the Matzil Nefashot of why specifically Matzil of all things, like it already seems to suggest that these souls are in need of saving.
Okay, right, yeah. So I'm actually going to make that into its own question. What is the scenario here, especially given the statement Matzil Nefashos, which implies that there are nefashos which require Hatzalah. Yeah. I also want to add a question to this. So if it is a saver of souls, is it true? So if the latter, okay, why state it in this weird way? Now, I don't want to say it's a weird way in the sense that it's like a outlandishly weird way, because Hebrew does do this, but there is a clearer way to say it. Like, like you just see it from the way that we all the English commentators put true witness first. It would just be, like clearer. So like if we could, this is a stylistic question. Yeah, Isaac.
What's a yafiach kezavim?
Yeah. What is a yafiach kezavim? We'll break that down into what does it mean to be yafiach, and what does it mean by kezavim?
And then is that the direct opposite of 8ms, or
Yeah, that's a big question. I feel like that's gonna be a big clue here.
like I feel like in that other pasuk that we saw, I feel like 8 and Moonim is like what seems like the opposite of yafiach,
Right.
not like 8ms.
Right. Are aid, ms, and yafiach kezavim opposites? Okay, or I mean, if you just look at the I think this is what our school is doing. I think our school is making no, never mind. But like, just maybe this is an answer to the structural question of Matzil Nefashos might be the opposite of Yafiach Kezavim, and Eidem is the opposite of Mirma, but like that'd be weird also, Yeah, David.
And just again, if we are assuming that Eidem and Yafiach Kezavim are the two opposites here, again, within the scenario, Eidem seems to be in a more formalized scenario versus Yafiach Kezavim sounds to me like this is like a day in, day out type of thing from the person.
Right. Yeah. So
and Yafiach don't seem to be
right. Yeah, that's a good observation. So if so, they don't seem to be quite congruous, since Yafiach Ksavim would seem to apply outside the context of edus, right, or I say beyond. Yeah. Which I guess raises another question as well on the scenario is what type of edus scenario is this, right? Court testimony, telling someone what one has witnessed in an informal context, testifying to any truth, right? It's unclear here. I just want to remind ourselves, because it's been 2 weeks since we did this parak. What was the previous pasuk? Ateres chachamim ashram iveles ksilim iveles, and then the next one is b'yur Hashem miftach oz ulevan of yihiyah machzeh. So it does not overtly seem related to the context. Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and ask this explicitly, which is, what is the relationship between Yafiach Kezavim and Mirma? Or I guess let's just say, first of all, what is the Mirma in this context? And like, how do we read it? As a noun, as an adjective? And if the latter, what is it describing? And then what is the relationship between the Yafiach Kezavim? We didn't ask that, right? No. Yfiach Kazavim, and the Mirma. Yeah. Okay.
I have a poetic translation.
Okay. I love this. Yeah.
A true witness saves lives.
A true witness saves lives.
The one who breathes deceit just lies. Like dash, just lies.
Okay. But one who breathes deceit just lies. Like that?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. This could be a good project.
Yeah.
Rhyming Isaac. All right. Yeah. Okay. So let's try to figure this out. I feel like there's a good shot that we can maybe do this in one shot, or not one day. Yeah.
Okay. So I think the first half is talking about the power of being dedicated to sticking to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That it can go as far as saving lives.
Yeah.
Because you're just speaking truth. And the reason why the person's called an aid MS
Yeah.
is because if you're talking about truth in a certain way, you're kind of just reporting on what the truth is, you know,
Mhm.
like almost like testimony.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas if you're lying, it's not like testimony. It's like I don't have a so called
Okay.
why it's called an aid, but
Yeah.
like but someone who's who breathes lies, all that they're like, it's the only result of that is deception, basically.
Uh-huh. Okay, so I actually you're raising two questions that we didn't list, which we should. One is, why is the beneficial result spelled out in the first half, but the consequence doesn't seem to be spelled out in the second? Okay, and then in the second, and then in the scenario question, I would also say, like, no, you know what? I'm gonna put this here. Like there are many benefits of being an aid MS. So why focus on Matziel and Nefashos? Okay, so that's the question that you led with the answer to. So the first half is telling you that it is, I guess, is stating the utmost like beneficial outcome that can actually, what I want to say also, hold on. I'm gonna actually put this here. Likewise, can't an aid MS also, like, you know, bring about a death penalty? Right? I mean, it's weird, like it just says I don't know if that's part of the first question. Okay, but you're saying that the almost beneficial outcome that can come from being an aid MS is actually saving someone's life. Okay, so that part I got. I don't quite see what you're saying for the second half.
I think it's saying like the kind of like the result of being a Yfiach Chazavim is just, it's like just Mirma.
Okay. Well, so but if the first half is telling you like your Matziel, you can be Matziel Nefashos, wouldn't the second half say, and you can kill people like unjustly? You can be a murderer if you are Yfiach Chazavim?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what makes this pasuk difficult.
Okay, so separate shot.
Okay.
The second half.
Yeah.
That was this Yfiach Chazavim Mirma. It's saying being a Yfiach Chazavim is just Mirma in whatever way the first half is talking. Like there's no verb because it's like almost like summing it up.
Okay. Is just Mirma. Okay. Well, we'll see where you go with it for the first half then.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah. All right. Well, we got two halves. Yeah. Matziel Nefashos 8 MS. I mean, I was thinking similar. I agree with your intuition for the first half, so I think we should continue to try to develop that. That in 8ms, you think to yourself that how, like I think everyone recognizes that honesty and truth telling is a virtuous quality, but I think there is a feeling of like, or let's put it this way, I think that there's a lack of awareness in terms of how beneficial it can be, So saying you can even save lives is like a real chiddush, and then they're like an emotional chiddush. Hold on, let me make sure the volume's up. Right. But what is the second half? But then the second half would seem to have to like, pair with that. That's the problem. What happens if we do take it as one who saves souls is a true witness? I know that's the difficult reading, right? But that's the way it's stated. One who saves souls is a true witness. And then how would we read the second half?
Well, I think the opposite actor is the still, because
well, I don't know, because I think you could also read it as Matzion Nefashos. Here's an alternate translation. What I'm saying. Let's call this the sequential translation. Okay. One who saves souls is a true witness, but one, oh, sorry, maybe this is exactly what you were saying. One who spouts lies is a man of deceit. Deceit. And I know that that's also adding something, but we've seen Mishlei do that a lot before, like ish, putting ish there. All right, so what happens if we read it this way? Is that what you said? I mean, something just didn't register about it. No, okay. So now you got the problem of the second half seems obvious, right? Obviously, if you spout lies, especially if spouting is like a habit, then of course you're going to be a man of deceit. So then the chiddush is in the first half. But hold on a second, chat. What is he being a true witness of? Right. Yeah, that is an important question here. See, I'll tell you just another like intuition I have here, and this is going to sound like Derech Nister, but I'm trying to think: is there a way? See, the simple way to take it is the way that you were taking it, and the way my intuition went. That an 8ms can even save souls. But I'm trying to think: is there a case where an 8ms always saves souls? So if you are talking about an 8ms being someone who is reporting truth, and if soul is not biological life, but like the seichel, so then you are saving souls from falsehood, which is an intrinsic harm if you report things truthfully. This is another question that we did not ask, which is in the scenario here, which is actually not in the scenario. This is this always true or only in certain circumstances? Okay. Right. So I'm trying to say that you could read it in a way that it's always true. Let me just hold on a second. I just want to chase this intuition. So if you're going to say that one who is a true witness saves souls from real harm, which is falsehood, right? That's the real harm of the soul. That's just me clear. I'm not saying you're saving souls from falsehood. That's what the pasuk is saying. I'm saying you are saving souls from falsehood, but that's a real hatzalah for the nefesh, right? Because the nefesh is the part that that apprehends the truth. But one who spouts lies. So see, now I'd be inclined to say one who spouts lies, like
almost like cultivates deceit.
Yeah, or I was gonna say a bend in someone to deceit in the sense of that.
Yeah.
But the question, but because no, not a bend, because you're right. Cultivating is better because you're actively like promoting deceit. So you're actively harming the soul. Yeah, you have along these lines. Yeah.
I have a circumstance for.
Okay, sure.
Let's say someone's a Jewish educator, and a kid that, let's say, brings up an area that the teacher doesn't doesn't know about or doesn't want to talk about.
Right.
And the teacher lies because they think it's going to be better for the student.
Right.
Then they're causing it. Then later on in the student's life, they're gonna find out that their education was tied up with deceit,
Right.
and that's gonna have harmful consequences.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Let me just get down what I have for this first part. Okay. Let's call this the like literal approach. Okay, which is, it's funny, it's literal approach, even though it feels like a Derek Nisser thing. But one who testify who like, I guess, reports the truth accurately, okay, literally saves souls, because the only way to harm a soul is through falsehood. And every time you liberate a soul from falsehood or ignorance, then this is a true Hatzalah. Okay. However, if you see, okay, so I like your example, but I feel like we need to do something with the afiyah. Maybe you can just say it can mean to utter or breathe. So let's use it, instead of using it as the doing it all the time, like even breathing falsehood, meaning like not an intentional like plot to deceive, but even like a mere breath of deceit. If you even breathe a little bit of lies, breathe out some lies, then you are see, it lacks the punch. Deceit. The Hebrew has a real punch, but I feel like the consequence has to have a punch. And I'm not just talking poetically. I mean like what is the consequence here, And it has to not be obvious.
Well, you're kind of like miring the person in deceit.
Right. Yeah, you are. Yeah. I'll just say that for now. Miring them in deceit.
Yeah. I feel like Yefiach Gezavim sounds like, to me, it's not like just like a person like has like almost like a white lie. It's more like lying. It's as easy as breathing out, like meaning it's very easy for them to
Okay.
like almost like tinge what they're saying.
Okay, so let me just make this as a side observation.
Yeah.
Which is, I think this answers the question that you were struggling to answer with the 8ms, is that edus is a calculated, formal, intentional, like activity of speech. Okay. Yafiach is like natural, habitual, without thought, autonomic, right? So like I think that those are, what was that?
System 1, system 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good observation.
Yeah.
Roshan,
Yeah.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Okay. It's funny. I was thinking about like the what does it mean that someone would so someone who lies, what they're really doing is they're distorting reality.
Right.
For the individual, and that can be very destructive to anyone, right?
Yeah.
Just that distortion of reality. So so when someone breathes out lies, like that's all he's doing. He's contrary to what you're supposed to do. But It's interesting because then I was thinking about the machlokas about, I think, Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, about lying to his wife. It's funny that the first half of the pasuk uses a true witness. It's and it doesn't just say, oh, say the truth every time or whatever. So maybe it could say that, like, if you're a true witness, and as long as you're there for the good of the person, regardless of what you do, but if that's the objective, trying to save their lives, then maybe like telling your wife that the dress looks good, and even though it's not, it might be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just some random thoughts
Yeah.
that I have.
Yeah, no. I hear all the points that you're making. Let's look at the Mefarshim. Okay. Yeah.
I had maybe a little approach.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So it's just about this, like the case where you the second half.
Yeah.
Where you're like reading out like some lines. I think one mistake that people make is they say like, okay, but like 95% of what I'm telling them is true, which is like, let's say like 5% lies. But the thing is that when a person realizes that they've been lied to,
Yeah.
like when they realize that there's some lies, they're like, they have no idea how much is truth and how much is lies, and so
Yeah.
they have to like throw out everything you
Right. Okay. So let me, okay, that's a good thing also. So people often justify lying by saying that most of what they said is true. But once a person realizes that they were lied to, it throws everything into question, and because they will, and creates like an intrinsic barrier to the truth, right? Because now it's just that there's no way to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. I have a question about lying.
Yeah.
If is there ever a time where where if the objective is to save someone, you should lie, and you might think that it's not okay to lie?
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, I mean that is a good way. Right. I mean, that is a good way to think about the scenario. Yeah. I mean, definitely the answer is yes. Right. I mean, you could definitely lie to save a life.
Right. So I'm just wondering if that's true. Like, what are the parameters of that?
Right.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, Isaac, going back to your.
Yeah. So just going back to my observation.
Yeah.
Maybe the reason why, in the second half, it's just when it says if you have something mirma, it's not saying that one result is mirma. It's that everything is mirma.
Okay, all right, that's a good way to say it. So according to this, it's not saying that. How do you say it? It's not saying that it will.
That one result is mirma.
That one result is mirma, but rather the afia kazavim makes all of the speech mirma, in the sense described above.
Yeah, in the person's eyes.
Yeah, i.e., in the ears of the listener. Yeah, yeah, David.
Different thought.
Sure.
That thing in this scenario, if we talk about like in very pressureful situations.
Yeah.
That someone, I'll start with a second. Someone who is very habituated to lying, they just don't even think, and they just same exact thing. And I think that then people can think that maybe I can lie in my situation that's not such a big deal, but then when it's really important, then I can switch over to telling the truth. But I think someone who is so used to lying, it's going to constantly be just mirma.
Yeah.
And I think maybe taking Rosario going for the first half, that someone who is a true witness, at least my understanding of that being like a person who is constantly saying truth, that's a person who's going to actually be able to do difficult, like when things are very, very tough, say in like a situation of having to save a soul.
Yeah.
That just being, at least I'm taking as like a very difficult situation, he'll actually be able to stick true to the truth.
Yeah. Okay, good. So in reality, he won't. And I'm going to add here, I'm going to kind of combine the two. Either because he can't control we've seen this in other Mishlei pasukim. He either can't control his truth intake, okay, meaning like he's not going to record things properly, okay, because he's so used to lying, or he can't control his embellishment tendency, right? Or people won't believe him, okay, because of his track record. Okay, so in other words, I think that's okay. So let's just try this. This is, I think, the closest thing we had to a complete idea here. You want to add to this?
It's a thought that's related to it.
Okay, so I'm gonna just try to say it, make sure I get it clear first. So the pasuk is talking to someone who's considering Okay, well, I'd say it's even talking about someone who's considering lying in a certain case, but the primary person that it's talking about is someone who habitually lies, and that person tells himself like, oh, I can tell the truth when it matters, but he's not going to be able to. So even when he tries, so Yafich Kazavim will always be like anchored to speaking deceitfully, whereas an aid MS will be able to actually like do what matters with the truth, in terms of like saving souls. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So also similar to actually be a different idea in and of itself. That okay, the reason I think the most common reason why people lie is because they think that they are the arbiter of what is going to be the best outcome, so they will distort things so that the best outcome comes about.
Yeah.
Maybe not even for themselves, they just think overall this is the best outcome. But it's just saying that like so truth does win out, and truth is the thing that's going to save lives. It's not your lying or how you decide to interpret and portray things is not what's going to wind up.
Okay, so people lie because they want to be the arbiter and really determiner of reality. Okay. But yeah.
Okay, I just maybe not even want to. They might just actually think this is the best. They might not even be driven by anything as much as being incorrect.
Okay, or genuinely think that this is the best. But in the end, reality itself will win out, and the tendency to lie always threatens to like undermine that. All right, I do want to move on to Mefarshim today so that we can start a new pasuk tomorrow. All right, so let's do let's start with Mitzus David. Oh, that's way too far. Mitzus David says Matziel. I bet this is where Oswald gets it from. Aid emes hu matzil nefashos. A true witness saves lives. Ki im yaid laharog harotzeach. Oh, that was my question, right? If he testifies to kill a rotzeach, az yatzil miyado nefashos b'nei adam. Wow, that's interesting. So he's saving other people's lives. Vim yaid lafatro, and if he testifies to exempt him, az yatzil nefesh nidon. So he's going to save that guy. All right, well, I can't disagree with that. The afia hamadaber kazavim, one who speaks falsehoods. So he's just taking it as speaks, not like habitually says. Matil b'chazavav es ish mirma will save a deceitful man. Ki misayelo be'eduso. Okay, so this is interesting. So he's talking about a specific case, right, of a hatalas nefashos. Okay, so let's just focus on that and then see if we can expand it. So he's saying that, this guy is telling himself, see, I think this is, it's similar to the line of thing that Ariel was saying, but like this guy in the second half thinks, oh, but I'm saving someone, yeah, you're saving this guy, but you're bringing about a lot of the other kind of harm, like that you allegedly like care about. In other words, it's an inconsistency in the value system, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so just, it's like, sorry, I had this much clearer like a second ago.
Okay, so I'm going to continue developing because I have an idea. So, and I think this can apply outside of the sphere of like literal life saving. Like, let's take in terms of financial stuff. If you vouch for someone's honesty and they really are a thief, right? Sorry, let's take the first case. If you expose someone who's really like stealing or whatever, right? So then you are actually, well, if there's a case of alleged theft, okay? So then you are, no matter how you speak truthfully, you're going to be preserving that value system, But if you are, if you lie about him and you save him and he really is like perpetuating this thing, then you're compromising your values. That's the core of the idea I'm sensing according to the Metzudas David, that you are, the first guy is consistent in his values. The second guy through his lying is not. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like by let's say by you telling the truth, someone's going to be getting negative consequences for their action.
Okay, right.
That's what it seems like, so. And the negative consequences are, things that are bad for a person because, absent the fact that it's consequences for their own actions.
Right.
So let's say in the case of, let's say, alleged theft, you might say, oh, you shouldn't tell the truth about how this guy was stealing because then he's going to lose his livelihood. No one's going to, no one's going to want to employ him ever again.
Yeah.
So then so if you tell the truth, then so what he's saying is like if you tell the truth, then you're actually saving all of his potential victims from being harmed. Whereas if you cover it up, then you're basically like allowing it to continue happening.
Right. Yeah, could we put this in more abstract, like universal terms, like to get the idea out of it? Because I feel like I understand the particular very well. Yeah.
I think there's a temptation of, let's say, shielding someone from negative consequences of their actions.
Yeah.
Because it looks like it's like just bad, but by doing that, you're really saving other people who would be harmed by that person's actions in the future.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so hold on a second. So Sudas. So the first half, first half highlights how telling the truth will result in a particular bad, i.e. may result in a particular bad, i.e. the murderer will be convicted and executed. Okay. But there will be a greater net good that you're saving. I guess there will be you're saving people from a greater net bad. Okay. The second guy feels like he's like removing a bad, but he's really like blinding himself to the net bad that will come from his actions. See, I really think this pasuk is not about, going to Ariel's question about the what's the subject of the pasuk. I don't think this is about certainly not about murder or life loss. But I don't even think it's necessarily about lying or telling the truth. I think this is a universal in terms of how people make decisions. Is like they isolate one aspect of it and then do their cost benefit analysis within that little narrow window. And the guy in the first half is taking into account everything. Like the value we're talking about here is saving lives. So if that's really what you care about, then saying, but this murderer is going to die is just not good reasoning, because you're just neglecting the value of saving lives, But that's exactly what the second guy is doing. He's saying, yeah, but if I tell the truth, this guy is going to die. Oh, so you're saying you care about people not dying? Well, then how can you let this guy on the streets? But I feel like this decision making, fallacy plays itself out in lots of other areas also. Even the example that you gave earlier about there's this thing in teaching. Hold on just 1 second here. If again, unfortunately, teachers do lie. Like, take the rant that I gave last week about people lying and saying that there is no basis for drinking on Purim, right? Like that lie just gets me. So their intention is they want their students to be committed to Torah and truth and goodness, but that lie brings about a distortion which is against the whole enterprise of why we're teaching in the first place. So if you look at this little thing, you're saving them from a particular bad here, but what are you doing to the entire project? You're jeopardizing the entire project. Yeah. All right. Sorry, Chiyun, but let's just do one more here. Let's do Rabino Yona. Matzil nefashos 8 emes, Matzil nefashos nefesh oshek v'nefesh ha'ashuk. Nefesh ha'ashuk hu matzil. Wait, what's this? What's going on here? Hamuskar b'ksav yad. Yeah, what's this saying? Matzil nefashos, one who saves souls. So he's trying to identify who the souls are. The nefesh ha'oshek, the soul of the person who steals. The nefesh ha'ashuk, and the soul of the victim of the theft. Nefesh ha'ashuk hu matzil. He's saving the soul of the victim. Okay, I'm going to try reading it that way. Okay. The ki hashev yashiv lo ha'oshek asher ashak. Wow, this is the most instances of ashak shorish that I've seen in a single sentence, because the thief will return the thing he stole to the victim. V'yatzil nefesh ha'oshek min ha'avon. Oh, there was one more. And he will save the soul of the thief from sin. V'yachal enu mibo bedamim v'yachsoch nafsho mine shachas. Okay, and he will I think protect him from being murdered and save his soul from death. Okay, so in other words, like this. Okay, Ruvain steals from Shimon, right? So if I facilitate the save, if I bring that crime to light, so I'm saving Shimon because he gets his money back, and I'm saving Reuven because I'm saving him from Avon, and I'm saving this from repeating itself and having more disastrous consequences. You know where this came up? This came up in that thing where I had the question of whether a student was cheating, and a bunch of people told me, it's not your business. Don't report it, or don't look into it, And my argument was, well, if this really is cheating, so then I'm saving whoever is going to be losing out from the harm of the cheating, but I'm also saving this kid from repeating this in the future and getting worse consequences. I'm saving the system. All right. I feel like this is in line with what we just did, right? I think like in other words, by doing this, so I know we haven't read the second half yet, but why would you not apprehend him? Because you don't want this guy to get bad consequences, But if you really care about, people, if you care about people, you'll do what's best for people, And yes, this guy has to get convicted of stealing, but it's good for him also because he ends up, it's going to prompt him to do tshuva and it's going to save him from future harm.
Yeah, I like the emphasis on the nefashos. Like it's not just the victim that you're saving,
right?
It's also the
nefashos, right? That's the chiddush where it's coming from. Yeah, Ariel.
Yeah, I just have a question. This goes back to something we dealt with a while ago.
Yeah.
How does this play into halacha? Meaning, I'm just trying to. The specific case, I don't know, as you were the specific case you gave was if a woman was cheating on her husband.
Actually, I'm going to stop you right now, not because it's not a good question, but because I want to finish the Rביno Yona, and we have 3 minutes. So we could discuss in the chat also. Someone who spouts lies. Okay, we did this in chapter 12. One who spouts faithfulness proclaims righteousness. Vatam. Okay, I don't know what he's getting out of that. Vatam, the meaning is ki misha devarav v'sichaso tedirim b'hakazav. That's like we were saying, someone whose speech and conversation is always filled with lies. Gam ki loheid b'kazav b'veistin v'lo ana sheker b'achiv. Even if he doesn't testify falsely in Beistin or answer falsely against his brother, ish mirma. He isn't ish mirma. So we're talking about a guy who can control himself in court, but other than that, he's always telling lies. He is an ish mirma. So he adds in the word ish, like I did. Ki kol alav l'ramos chavero b'foal ulahonosam, because it's easy for him to deceive his fellow in action and to extort him or whatever. Akar she'ena sheker nimas beina, because falsehood is not despicable in his eyes. Whom margilo al sfasav, he'll accustom his lips. Kilo yivadil ha'adam min hamirma v'haunaos be'ish yivka yitro b'hazmanasam, and he will not be able to separate from deceit and trickery or whatever harm at a time when his yetzer encounters them ready. Bilti im yisna hasheker v'yarchikeu. So in other words, that's like what David was saying. He won't be able to control himself in the right scenario. So the question is, how do we put these two together? Because the first half is advertising a specific benefit, which is you're going to benefit a lot of people by telling the truth, even if it brings about harm to individuals in the short term. And then the second half is, so the second half is telling you how to do that. Right. In other words, don't think that you'll be able. It's giving the extreme opposite case where the guy is always lying. I think this is like what we were saying earlier. In other words, this guy's always lying. I know it's not exactly like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Lying is a habit, but truth telling is also a habit. You need to cultivate a mius. Sheker needs to be disgusting to you in order to be able to not fall into the trap of telling sheker when when it presents itself. Okay, I want to do this. I don't know. I still like we still need to. I feel like we still need to develop these. I'm gonna go and try to find time to look through the Mefarshim and see if it's going to be better for our net Mishlei to continue on this tomorrow or to do a different pasuk. Okay, but I have to go now. Yeah,
I feel like there's like rich veins here that we have.
I know. Yeah, this is a tough one. Surprisingly tough. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.